What's up? Welcome to this month's episode of Bad Luck and Magic. And this episode is all about the June vibe check. What do we have going on this month? What can we expect? What are the vibes? What are the energies that are happening in the cosmos, and how we can work with the energy so that we can be the most aligned version of ourselves that we can. June is a beautiful, incredible month. We are going to be stepping into summer officially, and I don't know about you, but I am so excited about that. I'm gonna break it down. So first we're gonna kind of talk about the overall energies for this month. Then we'll get into like the top 3 themes that are gonna be coming up for us. Then we will talk about kind of what's new with any events that I have going on and things like that. Maybe I'll mention a few astrological highlights to expect, and then we'll get into our tarot message for the month. So let's get into it here. I'm gonna break it down kind of like the beginning, middle, and end of month, okay? Well, and even before we start that, how was y'all's May? I was trying to think about like the progression of the months this year and how things were feeling for me personally, because I feel like it'll likely resonate with a lot of you guys too. We'll just step into March, because January and February was like hermit mode, in the house, not doing anything, not talking to anyone. It was really just like reconnecting with self. And then come March was a little bit more lively. That I traveled, I went on a spiritual retreat. So there was something about March of like turning inward and looking into our mindset, but also our values and how we find pleasure and love and our connection to creativity and all of that, because we had Mercury and Venus retrograde. And then April felt like an integration period. Like the beginning of this whole year, we had all these retrogrades. We were being asked to turn inward and like recalibrate, like how do we actually feel now? Like so much happened in 2024. It's like reflecting on that and processing it. And then in April, it was like, okay, no more retrogrades. We're finally integrating what we've been learning about ourselves. And then in May kind of felt like a little bit of an emergence from the cocoon. Not fully, but it's like things were starting to unfold. We're starting to get more clarity. I hope you were feeling that, because I know that for the first portion of this year, just feeling so confused, feeling like I was in this fog, not understanding, okay, what direction do I even need to be taking right now? But something about May really brought a lot more clarity. And it's like, I don't know if you were feeling this, but it's like, okay, I feel like the point is I can step into my own authority, empower myself, and create my own clarity. Sometimes when we're confused, it's because we aren't necessarily ready to take the action steps yet. Maybe we don't have enough information, and that's okay. Like that's like the incubation period, and it's necessary. So it's totally fine if that's where we were. That's where we had to be. We had to be in the cocoon in order to emerge and start to see the clarity, create the clarity, see our reality from a new perspective. So love that, loved May for that reason. Then we got June. So let's talk about June. So we start this month with a revitalized mindset and motivation to connect in new ways. This is going to be setting an empowered foundation for what I believe will be a very optimistic and emotionally nurturing month. Our heart space will begin to open and feel more grounded as Venus moves into its home sign of Taurus, inviting us to bask in the beauty of nature, engaging all of our senses, and radiating an unshakable self-worth. Over the last year, we've experienced major growth and expansion in the Gemini-ruled area of our charts because Jupiter has been moving through that area. So before Jupiter moves into the next sign, which is Cancer, we will gain some insights via thoughts, communications, or connections around just how far we've come in that area of life. And the one thing I'll say about that, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It's about the mind. It's about thinking and communication. So with Jupiter, the planet of expansion there, it can kind of have us feeling like, okay, there's so many options. I don't even know what to do. I'm not even sure if I'm moving in the right direction. So when Jupiter moves into Cancer, it will be more chill. Like, I think this is part of the reason why we're gaining more clarity now. And also because Neptune and Saturn have moved out of Pisces, which is a very boundaryless and surrendering sign. So by mid-month of June, we are going to notice new opportunities arising related to the Cancer-ruled area of our lives, because again, Jupiter will be moving through this area over the next year. So we may notice we feel more emotionally cared for, intuitive, and open-hearted. We will also have a full moon in Sagittarius shining a light on how our life views and connection to spirituality have changed since December 1st of 2024. Because that's when we had the new moon in Sagittarius, was December 1st, 2024. So you can kind of think back to that period of time around that week of December 1st. What was going on for you then? What seeds were you planting? What were you starting at that point? Because come mid-June, you will start to see like a culmination point. You will see the fruits of your labor. You will see an ending point or a transition point, or something that's ending, so now that something else can be started. And also around the middle of the month, our drive and our motivation will become focused on our wellness, rituals, and service to others as Mars moves into Virgo until early August. So this will be a great time to try a new workout routine, clear out our home space, reset our schedule, and especially figuring out how we can use our natural gifts to be of service to other people. Whether that's volunteering or whether it's at your job or your creative projects, whatever it is. Because those are the themes that relate to the sign of Virgo. And we will close out the month with a new moon in Cancer, inviting us to start a new cycle and set intentions around family, home, and our inner world. Around this time, the Sun and Jupiter will come together as well, shining a light on joy and expansion within these particular themes. So with that, we'll also have our thoughts and communication becoming more bold, passionate, and courageous, because Mercury will then enter into Leo for the next several weeks. So overall, a really good month. There are a lot of planets shifting, so it seems like overall the energy is shifting, and it's going to be something that we notice more because we do have several personal planets that we notice more on a day-to-day basis that are going to be shifting into a new sign. And what that means is the themes that each of these planets represent, like if it's Mercury, that would be how we communicate our ideas, our thought processes, our connections. It's like it's going to have a different perspective. It's going to have the perspective of whatever zodiac sign it's moving through. So yeah, we got Venus moving, Mercury moving, Mars, Sun, and of course Jupiter. Jupiter is, one of the outer planets, so it's more generational. It's more slow moving, so it's going to take some time to really see the progress and see what Jupiter is going to be bringing in for us. But very interesting. I'm very interested to see how this month is going to shape up for us. And with all of this energy moving into the sign of Cancer, it just makes me think about all of the cardinal signs. So not to get too deep here into astrology, you don't have to know all the details of astrology, so I hope I express this and explain this well. But the cardinal signs are always the signs, there are 4 of them. They're always the signs that start a new season. So Cancer is starting summer, Aries starts spring, Libra starts fall, and Capricorn starts winter. So those are the 4 cardinal signs. Those signs in particular, obviously they're represented by fire, water, air, and earth. And each of them like to initiate. They like to start projects. They like to lead, compared to the mutable signs that like to change, or the fixed signs that like to build what's already there and kind of root into something rather than changing or rather than starting something new. So when we have planets like a season, we're moving into Cancer season, that means that if you have Capricorn placements, you're going to get an opposition from the sun that's moving into Cancer, and Mercury that's moving there, and also Jupiter. Did I say that? Jupiter that's moving there too. And that's going to also be making a square to Saturn and Neptune that just moved into Aries. And Libra doesn't have anything there, but if you have personal placements there or in Aries, you're going to feel this the most, because when we have oppositions or squares between planets, it's like it creates a tension that's necessary in order for us to start something new or shift how we've been doing something, or it's kind of like the pebble in your shoe that you've got to do something about. And it can be difficult to look at a chart and you see oppositions or squares, because it can feel scary, like, oh, this is going to be a challenging time. But a way that we can reframe it is this is necessary pressure in order for us to grow, to expand, to do something in a way that's different than we've done it in the past, so that we can get to our next level self. So the cardinal signs, Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra, we're going to be feeling this the most, this Cancer season the most. We might be realizing we're starting a lot of new things around this time. Okay, so that's enough about that. So what is the overall vibe? What are the top 3 things that most of us are going to likely experience over the month of June? First things first, expansion when it comes to our sense of home and our emotional front. That is because Jupiter, the planet of opportunities, growth, expansion, Jupiter also relates to like the higher mind, seeing things from a new perspective. It's like traveling to a new place, to a different culture, to not just be in your one small little world, but truly expanding how you see and view things. So Jupiter is going to begin its 1-year journey through the intuitive and sensitive water sign of Cancer, and it's really giving soft girl summer. It's giving Lana Del Rey playing in the background while you're looking at a gorgeous sunset at the beach. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're crying and you're like, wow, like maybe life really is worth living. You know, Cancer it has like a protective outer shell, right? But on the inside, it's so sensitive and it wants to protect. It wants to protect itself. It wants to protect its loved ones. So there's something around that as well. So we can expect to be more in our feelings. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Something really interesting that I saw the other day, I can't remember, I think it was on Instagram. I'm sorry, I don't know who said this. It was like a meme. But it was saying like looking at the past summers and where Jupiter was and what the vibe was giving. Like, let's see. Okay, Jupiter going through Taurus, that was a couple years ago. That's when Barbie was like the big thing. Barbie was the movie that was out in theaters a couple years ago when Jupiter moved into Taurus. And then when Jupiter moved into Gemini, that's when we had Brat Summer. That was fun. We loved that. And then, yeah, so it's just interesting to see like Jupiter in Cancer. What is the vibe going to be? I think it's going to be soft girl summer. Lana Del Rey vibes. And as a Cancer moon, like, I'm excited. I am excited. And I think the beautiful thing is it's like reconnect with our emotions. It's okay. It's okay to connect with our emotions. And what I'm just recognizing when I'm going through a difficult evening or whatever it is, and I just need to cry, really all it is that's built up stagnant energy that's inside of me that needs to be released. And then almost always, when I have one of those moments where I'm in my feelings and I need to journal and I need to cry and whatever, I just let it out, the next day, I feel like a brand new person. I feel like, oh, everything's gonna be fine. So if sometimes it feels like it can be hard to get into our feelings and express those emotions, just know that it's helpful. It's helpful to do something with that energy that's sitting there. Otherwise, that energy is going to express itself in other ways that are probably more reactive and not conducive to us actually processing the emotions and understanding ourselves more. So there's nothing wrong with a good cry. 2, what is the vibe? We are going to be cosplaying as our higher self. Most of us, probably that if you're listening to this, you resonate with this. We are in a process of continually realigning with our higher self. Basically, and when we say that, it's not to say our higher self is this version that's unattainable or that we're always working towards necessarily. I'm kind of viewing it as like how can we always, as much as we can, be realigning with our soul? Like, not our ego self, not our mask, not who we present ourselves out to be in the world, but how can we always try to be tapping back into our core self, our soul, our higher self, our next level self, our authentic self, truly. And the reason I say this, cosplaying as our higher self, we're going to have that full moon in Sagittarius, and it's inviting us to play that part of our higher self, especially if maybe we've been in this transition period and we aren't fully connected to our soul or what that next level authenticity actually looks like for us. So this is going to be a time where we're like experimenting with ideas and experiences, connections, new projects, things like that, that we can get a taste of what will actually look like when we're emerging from this cocoon. You know what I'm saying? And this is all about having fun with it and not shying away from pursuing joy as a means to grow and evolve. Like, I think sometimes we can be very logical and maybe strategic with what our next level is, what our next chapter is. But what if we leaned into whatever just brings us joy and happiness? What if it doesn't always have to be grueling, healing, and feeling, and inner child shadow work, and trauma, and things like that? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely a place for that, and it's so necessary and foundational to our healing. But damn, sometimes I'm just like, can I just be a kid? Can I just enjoy my life? Can I just have fun and pursue what I love and pursue what brings me happiness and not feel guilty for it? Like, what is this guilt? Sometimes there's guilt around actually thriving. What is that about? What is that about? So, full moon Sagittarius, we are going to be like, we're gonna just try it out. We're not gonna be hurting anyone. We're just gonna try it out. See what happens. See what happens when we step into this higher perspective, lean into joy, and see how much that helps us grow. And how can we truly discover what it means, what is meant to help us evolve, if we aren't willing to try something new that actually excites us? Like, this is all about following your hell yes, and know that sometimes following your hell yes will require us to release something, whether it's a habit, a pattern, a thought process, a way of being, an environment, whatever. Especially with full moons. Full moons are culmination, release, so that we can start something fresh. Okay, we might have to release an old way of being in order to step into our joy. Especially if, kind of what I was saying before, stepping into our joy, thriving, brings up guilt for some reason. That's tied back into something we learned in childhood, that if you're having fun, you should feel guilty, or you need to make sure that you work hard to deserve joy. You know what I mean? So it's going to require us to be a little uncomfortable with leaning into the hell yes. But I know we can do it. And then the third vibe is releasing self-criticism and embracing imperfect action. So Mars, the planet of action, motivation, drive, and sometimes conflict. So Mars kind of did us dirty the first part of this year. It was tough love. I'll say that. It was tough love because it retrograded through Leo and back into Cancer. Mars does not like to be in Cancer. And Mars retrograding in these areas is like, okay, Mars going through Leo retrograding is like, why am I not getting the validation that I want and desire and maybe deserve? And then Mars retrograding through Cancer is like, why am I not receiving the emotional care and protection that I want, need, and deserve? So it brought up a lot. It brought up a lot for us. And maybe we felt like we were stuck like in a corner and we couldn't get out. But now this planet is moving through the grounded yet changeable, mutable Earth sign of Virgo. So we can expect more attention on our overall well-being through health and spiritual rituals, through, mind, body, soul healing. Like Virgo is like the healer. We'll also understand more how our unique energy serves other people. And we get something from that. I want to say too, don't give from an empty cup. This is all about taking care of our vessel, taking care of us so that we can serve others in a more intentional and healing way. And that is not overgiving. That's not what this is. So yeah, and it's like figuring out, what do we actually need in order to thrive? What do we need in our day-to-day that's going to support us in being our best self and serving the collective, right? And what's important about Mars moving through Virgo right now is we have the South Node moving through Virgo. That means the North Node is directly opposite, because that's how it always is, and it is in the sign of Pisces. So the nodes show where we have the eclipses over like a 1.5 year period. So we had, an eclipse in Virgo in March, and we'll have more eclipses in September in Virgo and Pisces. So it's this axis of wellness, health, service to others. Sometimes it's very like detail oriented, very practical, earthy, grounded, compared to Pisces, which is very ethereal, intuitive. It doesn't necessarily have the structure that Virgo has, but it's relying on something greater to guide the way, and just tapping into its creativity and compassion and love and letting things flow. So, and it's a water sign. They're both mutable energies, so they both are able to be flexible and change. But of course, since they're opposite of each other, they have opposite energies. So South Node, where the South Node is, it shows us where maybe we've been in the past, maybe we feel comfortable, maybe it's patterns and habits that we've held on to that we actually need to release in order to grow and evolve. And then the North Node on the opposite end is, this is the direction that we're meant to grow and evolve and go into. So especially if we look at the shadow sides where the South Node is, of what we want to release, and the kind of high vibe sides of what's with the North Node and what we want to go towards, this is what we see. South Node in Virgo, it's like we are no longer saying we have to be perfect in order to be worthy. We don't have to always get it right. We don't always have to have plan A, B, and C, you know? Like, this is very type, shadow side, it's very type A energy. It wants to know all the details. It wants to have control. It wants to micromanage. It wants to be critical. It wants to discern what little thing is off so that we can make it better and improve it. But that's not a great vibe. That's not the most high vibe Virgo that we can express ourselves. And we all have Virgo in our chart. Virgo rules over a particular area in our lives. So it's like, how can we release perfectionism in that area? How can we release being overly critical and having to know all the details and having it all figured out? On the opposite end, it's like with Pisces, it's like leaning into our intuition, leaning into, maybe we don't fully understand it logically, but we just know it within ourselves. How can we be more compassionate and understanding of others and where they're at and where they're going and with ourselves? Because when we're not compassionate with other people, what that tells everyone is we're not compassionate with ourselves. If we're compassionate with ourselves, we can be compassionate towards anyone, literally anyone. So that's kind of where we're working here. Mars moving through, if we're struggling with the perfectionism for ourselves or criticism, self-criticism, Mars moving through Virgo is going to be a challenge. So what I invite, or what I would suggest, is the more that you can release, like, okay, I can't show up in this way yet because it's not perfect, or I can't do this yet because, you know, this is not right and I need to fix this. No, Mars wants you to show up anyway. Mars wants you to show up imperfectly and see what happens. And you might be very surprised. You might be very surprised at what happens. Because when you can release the control and the criticism, you can embrace the higher vibes of Virgo, which is highly strategic. Look, Virgos fucking know. They are 10 steps ahead. And again, of course, like, we got the Pisces energy, so we're gonna have to surrender some too. But they're still thinking they can go back and see the bigger picture with all the details. And maybe it's like, okay, I'm gonna see the big picture. I don't have to have all the details lined up. I'm just going to recognize this is the vision, this is the energy I'm gonna be in, and I know it's just gonna flow, okay? They're also very intentional, very intentional. It's like all their thoughts and actions, how they show up, it's for a reason. They're not just doing shit to be doing shit. And it's also about refinement as well, like refining that area of your life. Like if you're an Aries rising and Virgo is in your 6th house, it's like maybe you're refining your habits. Maybe you're looking into, okay, like I don't know, like what you eat during the week. Like, are you noticing like you actually don't want to drink coffee anymore because it makes you very anxious? You know what I mean? Or maybe you're realizing you're burning yourself out at work and you're like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that. So that's the vibes. We got expansion in home and the emotional front, cosplaying as your higher self, and releasing self-criticism and embracing imperfect action. Good month. Really good month. Okay, now let's see here. Just some quick updates. Some events coming up. Oh my gosh, can you hear Pepper in the background? Some events coming up. Join my friend Nicole and I for the Band Book Club. We meet every other Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The meetups for June will be on June 3rd and June 17th. And we are currently reading Women Who Run with the Wolves. Incredible book. And honestly, you don't even have to read the book, have the book to join in on the conversation, because at the beginning we'll give a brief synopsis of the chapter. June 3rd, we'll be covering chapter 4, by the way, if you do have the book. But it's just great conversation. Like, every single time we have those meetings, it's like I leave feeling very inspired, very connected, and yeah, it's just an interesting place to bounce ideas, themes, you know, Women Who Run with the Wolves. It really is about female empowerment and intuition. So anyway, it's very interesting. Highly recommend you joining us. Hope you do. Okay, and then we have a new monthly coffee shop meetup. So join for Revival, which is a monthly hangout at a local Asheville coffee shop. It is to reflect and reset for the month ahead. I'm having one on June 1st, but I think by the time you hear this, it'll already be over. So the second one will be on Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And that is going to be at Rowan Coffee in West Asheville. And everyone is welcome for that. It's just going to be chill vibes. I'll bring some astrology insights, and we can kind of talk about like what's going on for June. Yeah, just a cool place to connect. And then mark your calendar, because I will be giving free mini sessions at Hippy Dippy Summer Social, which will be on, I think it's Wednesday, but it's June 25th. And it's gonna be so much fun. Hippy Dippy, I've gone the past few years. Once I was selling earrings. Last year I did mini readings, and then I'll do mini readings again this year. So I'm really excited. And it actually falls on the same day as the new moon in Cancer. So that's sweet energy. And that's in my 11th house of like friend groups, communities. So that just checks out. But I do have a link on my website. Yes, go to the events page on my website. There's a link in the show notes below, and you can grab your tickets for that. And shout out to the Beauty Boost of Asheville for putting on these events. They put on at least one event a month, and you can find, if you're not in Asheville, like there's different cities that has the Beauty Boost and different chapters, I guess. So very cool, very cool. Last but not least, before we move into our tarot message for June, I have refreshed my service menu. So I recently simplified and updated my services based on your needs and what I've been hearing, like what y'all are looking for. So now there are 3 tiers to choose from, each creating the perfect blend of life coaching, client intuition, and astrology. So you can check that out in the show notes below as well. Yeah, before I had like 7 different things I was offering, and I'm like, how can I even speak to this? I'm trying to offer everything to everybody. And this is when the clarity came in May, and I was like, you know what? I am just gonna figure this out. Like I need to simplify and make this something I know I am providing good energy and good value for my clients. So anyway, I'm feeling really excited about this. There's a 30-minute option to do a cosmic coaching session, a 60-minute option, and then there's also like a full program, which will be 6 different sessions, and that's really like a complete reset. It takes us through literally the hero's journey, which actually lines up with the steps to manifest as well. So it's like for the program, it's like you have a specific goal in mind, or we figure out what that goal is for you, and then we work through that goal through those 6 sessions. So really excited about that. Because let me tell you, if there's one thing I know, it is how to transform, one, but two, take an idea and bring it into tangible reality. Like, that was literally my job for 11 years, was product development. And that is all about coming up with new product ideas and figuring out how to make it a physical reality. So let's do it. Let's do it with your goals, because that's way more fun than creating some products that I don't give up about. TBH. Okay. So yeah, let's get into our tarot message. All right. I want you to just think of card 1, 2, and 3. If you want to choose one particular card that's going to be your special message, you can do that. Another way we can look at this is the first card is the beginning of the month, the second card is the middle of the month, and the third card is the ending of the month, like the energies. So, card number 1, we got Judgment. So this is, it sounds bad, but it's not bad. It's spiritual awakening, alignment, and self-realization, okay? So this month, you are feeling like the most you felt maybe in a really long time. Maybe something intuitively clicks for you that helps you realize that you finally become that higher level version of yourself that you've been dreaming of. You're emerging from the cocoon, okay? This is a month to follow your intuition and know that you're being divinely guided and you're being supported to actually align with your higher self. Like, you're very supported, and trust that you know. Trust in your body that you know. Just a little side tangent. Sometimes I think we are overstimulated with information on the daily, you know, just getting on social media and stuff. Everyone else's opinions, everybody's an expert. Everybody knows what everybody needs. And it's like, no, only you know. So trust your judgment. Trust your intuition and your inner knowing. You don't have to get approval from anybody else. This is all you. This is all you. And you put in the work to be here. So remember that. Okay, card number 1. Card number 2. 10 of Wands. Wands are all about creativity, passions, projects. It's fire energy. So 10 of Wands is about responsibility, determination, and nearing completion, okay? Sometimes people are like, you know, this is a card of being overwhelmed or burdened, but what it's telling me is you're going to have a busy month, especially when it comes to your creative projects and what you feel passionate about. So it may feel like you've been working to get up to this point, because it's giving booked and busy, honey. If you've been putting in work and like, maybe now you're like, oh shit, like maybe I promoted myself too much and now I got all these clients, I got all this work, I've got all of these meetings, I have all of these events that I'm going to. Not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing. But just make sure that you take time to rest, play, delegate, or release anything that isn't truly essential to your happiness and your long-term vision. I'm not mad about that. And honestly, if we're reading this as this is the middle of the month energy, this is when we're going to have the full moon. Typically, we do have more things going on around the full moon anyway. So, whatever. It checks out. And then last but not least, card number 3, we got the Fool. This is about new beginnings, adventure, and freedom. So what an exciting month you're embarking on, okay? Like, you might feel eager to break free from outdated routines and environments. And with that comes new curiosity and a spark of inspiration. And it's like in the Fool card, it's like he's on the edge of the cliff. He's about to embark on the unknown. He's kind of taking a risk. He's a little naive too, because he doesn't know he's about to jump, or he's next to the cliff. So it's exciting though. It's exciting. I think maybe this is saying like there's an opportunity to go on a new adventure, meet new people, and maybe go somewhere new. Maybe you're traveling to end the month or in June in general. So I love this energy. Good stuff. Alrighty. Okay, I'm just gonna close it out with a mini scope. Okay. How do I want to do this? Okay, let me think. Mini scope. We're already at 46 minutes. Listen, if you want a horoscope, I invite you to join Bad Luck Club. You'll get your monthly horoscope there. You'll see everything that's going on for you. You'll have access to the astrology calendar, which outlines the major astrology transits that are happening and kind of like what the vibe is. There's also a reflection question for each of those if you want to dive into that. You can get a free month. The promo code is in the show notes below, and it's only $3.33 a month. Like, what can you even buy less than $4 now? So anywho, love it. If you are liking the podcast, if you stayed this long, please like, subscribe, follow, rate, all of those things, because it really helps your girl out. And I really appreciate you showing up here with your good energy, with your good vibes. And just know that I am cheering you on from over here and sending you so much love and gratitude. And I hope you enjoyed June. June's going to be a good month, and I'll probably show up sometime in the next couple of weeks. I have a separate episode that I want to create that's not astrology related. It is going to be talking about how to break out of our spirals. You know, when you go on those mental spirals, it's like how you break out of that loop and actually move into expansion and growth from a seemingly negative or challenging situation. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, thank you again for being here. Enjoy June. Love ya. Bye.